It's enduro time. Up goes the complexity. Two drivers, 500 kilometres and 161 laps. Another Sandown Classic gets underway. And a great start by both the boys in the Erebus cars as they lunge down towards turn one. Cold tyres, cold brakes, watch out for the dirty line. Scrambling through turn one successfully. Russell, Perkins, Moffat, and this is the pinch point at 3 and 4.
Nice job by both the Coke Camaro drivers to walk them away and to block the Mustangs on the way into turn one. They were able to get across in front of Moffat, and he had no room to play with. He wasn't able to make a lunge or dive down the inside. Perfect start by Perkins and Russell.
Good job. They all know that there's an opportunity to make ground on this opening lap, but you've got to be so careful in doing it. If you're too adventurous, it can be costly if you lock a brake and damage a tyre. Nice work, Jack Perkins, on this opening lap. That'll be a sigh of relief when he glimpses the mirror up the back straight. He's got a car length in hand from Russell, then Moffat, then Whincup. Good start from Tander. Safe pair of hands in cars 88 and 26. Then it's Davis and Estrade, Blanchard, Caruso, Rowbotham. That's our 10 at the end of the first of 161 laps.
This is actually the pass at turn 4, so he comes off the curb at 3 nicely, and then bang, fires straight down there. Good authoritative execution, no contact, nicely done. And also, David Reynolds, good proximity, good eye, sight, and vehicle placement there for him not to turn down on Jamie, because both cars would have been damaged if he did.
And he fed it first gear just to be able to sneak out the other side so that it didn't bog down. So he used the gap wisely, punched it out the other side, and he's now, in fact, inherited the lead of the race. Well, not inherited, he's worked hard for it. So here's the replay. And job done down the inside, pretty easy. Ran it a little bit wide on exit, but that's covering him into turn 2.
So the Snowy River Caravan's Mustang is off the road. That's between turn 1 and turn 2 by the look. Is that right, Croppo? Yes, it is.
Let's see whether this replay explains a bit more about it, and it does. There is another car involved, and so side-to-side contact has pitched him into the weeds. Oh no, we've got problems here for the Tander car. Left rear is off that car.
Yeah, so the left rear has come off. Okay, yeah.
This will trigger a safety car. Alistair McVeigh.
Yeah, the exact message was that he was saying that the left rear was walking around. So when we heard half that message, Crump, I heard the same thing you heard. It sounded like he was talking about rear tyre life, but clearly it was the wheel that he was worried about.
No wing. It's got no wing on the back of the Monster Mustang. That's gone. What? No wing. So there's definitely, there was a wing on the ground. Oh, ugly moment for Garth Tander. Ugly, ugly moment. Yeah, lost wheel and out of control down through the S's at the top of the hill. Now, I might have got this out of step, but yeah, see, that wing's off the car there now.
Yeah,
there was a wing on the road for sure.
Weird set of circumstances that have had the left rear wheel come off that car number 26, David Reynolds, Garth Tander.
Oh, but can you believe 2 top forward-running cars out this early from this bad luck? Like, seriously.
How about 3? Because one car behind you, Larko, turn around and they're cutting pieces off the Holdsworth car. So there's damage on the left rear here. They're desperately working with power tools to cut a chunk of this rear bar off it and keep him on the lead lap.
You're kidding me. So where did that damage come from? Oh, here we go. So here's a replay, early stages, through the grass. Oh, there you go. So, yeah, so smashed off the back of turn 3.
So the safety car's pulled away. They're in control again in the Coca-Cola Racing entry by Erebus with Jack Perkins at the helm. Jamie Whincup's got to do it all over again. Now this is looking juicy. There is no margin now between Perkins and Whincup. Jamie's been sweating very slowly on Jack, just sneaking that margin down. And there is the third place Frenchman in the background. He's only 1.9 seconds from the lead now. He's made 4/10 just since half a lap ago. Looking down the inside, Whincup is going to do this with relative ease. He was pretty fast on the last lap. He punched out a 10.9, 6/10 faster than Jack Perkins.
Whoa. So that was Lowndes with Rowbotham. Lowndes went to just turn it to the right for Kink. Jackson Evans now is hard into the back of Richie Stanaway, Rowbotham effectively loses 2 spots.
So Jalen Rowbotham, not a lot of space here. Craig isn't quite clear, and as he brings it across, everyone checks up on the throttle. Fortunately, Stanaway was lucky not to end up being cleaned up in the middle of it all. This is the rear bumper from Craig's viewpoint. Whoa. Actually stayed on the gas.
Yeah, good job. So the second fastest car was Van Gisbergen, but Lowndes for consecutive laps has been fastest. And that number that I reported before from Feeney to Van Gisbergen, first to 10th, was 28.5 seconds, is now 27.5 seconds. So Van Gisbergen has actually taken a little bit of ground out. Lowndes has a little look. He wasn't serious about it, he just does that. He does it on purpose. He pops the nose out of the mirror, and the driver in front doesn't know where he is. He's been doing it through his whole career. It's one of his strategies, his gamesmanship, his intimidation. He got a good run out of there, didn't he?
Yeah, he came off the last corner strongly,
Yep.
so this will be a pretty easy beat down here. He'll park it off to the left. Got to watch the marbles on the dirty side of the road, and then he rockets on by. So that came off there with a good 2 or 3 Ks more. So he was able to use that traction advantage wisely, and that scoots him up into position number 7. All of his trouble down here at 2 and 3 again, Mark. So dust being raised and some commotion in between 2 and 3, and it's ongoing, and they've all managed to stay off the rivets on the fence, but there was probably more luck than class in that process.
So you picked up on this. I didn't see the start of how this commotion evolved.
There's contact with Jack down the inside of Jake, and did they both tour the paddock? Well, that's ingested a lot of dirt and grass there as well. Full Dukes of Hazzard spec,
both
airborne between 2 and 3, so they both get into the grass. And then when we saw the external shot, it was when they just got back on the road. So here's the onboard from James Golding, and you see Jack slithering across the road. Then they pop out in front here, drag all the dirt with them, and then Golding would have seen an opportunity to try and get past them because they were out of rhythm. And then there was a squeeze on here. Oh my goodness! And that was fortunate. And it's, what was that about? And Brodie's hunting down the margin here. He's 18.8 seconds off the lead. He's got to get to his teammate. That's 12 seconds. And then Brock further up the road is well in stride at the moment. Last lap for him was an 11.5. Last lap for Will was 11.7. So pace is down, but that's helping make the tyre degradation number look very good at the moment. There isn't a lot of tapering. And Van Gisbergen's made a move here on Lowndes. That brings him up into 6th. Jake Kostecki's just come into the pit lane in car number 7. So Mark Winterbottom just in the foreground here in the DeWalt entry. He's about to be passed down the inside, and that brings Van Gisbergen up to position number 5. Here's Zane Goddard. Zane's sitting in 8th position at the moment. Big pressure on him at the moment from De Pasquale, but is that a lock brake smoke I saw, or something else that I was seeing beneath that car? It looks like it's having a puff.
It does.
Oh, and he's motocrossing down the right-hand side here, just trying to hustle by, and he's got it done, but he actually dropped the right front wheel into beyond the gutter. They're very close in this battle for 2nd and 3rd at the moment, so Barry Ryan gluing his eyes to the monitor. Brock Feeney's got a 13.3 second lead. He's got to put in roughly 5 more seconds of fuel than Will Brown when they make their, what we assume will be their 4th and final stop. But the eyes are on the Coca-Cola cars now, battling for 2nd and 3rd. Our championship leader there on screen, Brodie Kostecki. He's plus 137 in the championship, and he's just got an easy manoeuvre to go up the inside, slide on by. Will's cleared the throttle, made it nice and easy for him. Smart play, well managed, and that gives Brodie clear passage to get on with the job.
So Feeney leads Kostecki by 13.7. He's got a pretty wild moment going up the back straight here. Heimgartner gets a tow from Pye, moves it over to the left-hand side, and he's able to sneak by at the top of the hill. He runs it in there super deep and super wide. Had a big slide as the car was trying to exit off that amazing corner at the end of the back straight. We love the corner. 39 seconds of fuel, but remember, so that was a long, long wait for Brodie. That would have felt like an eternity.
So he's got 36 laps to grind out now on these tyres. Now with him having come in and pitted, the margin first to second between Brock and Will is 18.2 seconds. Will Brown from second position.
A couple more laps. So you're technically a lap down now, but that's right.
Look at those chunks of rubber that have built up on the outside of turn 4 here. There is Brown. The cold set of fresh tyres now on that car.
Kostecki's in front of Brown.
Clear, clear. You're going to have the queue behind you. Be clear, clear, clear. Go, go, go.
He's going to feed out into a bit of action here. Here come the Erebus cars. Coke cars have rocketed on by. Meantime, Will Brown's showing pretty decent speed out there on those fresh set of tyres, and Brock Feeney's now in the background here. Look at those tyres.
But looking at that, Van Gisbergen has made a net gain on the Erebus cars for sure, by a long way. Because remember, they've come from the back. They started 19th.
Matt Payne's also come in. Will Davison's the leader. He's still got a stop to go.
Still a bit over 10 seconds, mate. Okay, about 5. Make sure you've got a gear. Get ready to go. There's this monster car that we're going to have to go behind. Going to be clear. Go, go, go.
Chaz Mostert's also in the background here together with Cam Waters. So that's 31 laps remaining now for that car on that tyre set. So that's a, in relative terms, nice short stint on those for Brock Feeney.
So that's the gap. That's your effective gap. It's the length of the start-finish straight. So we just saw Brock Feeney getting through turn 1, and the Erebus cars were coming onto the straight. And that gap, in terms of what that number actually is dead on 10 seconds.
Oh, we've got trouble here for car number 35, off and in the weeds down here. And if he can't get out of that, Cam Hill may trigger a safety car. That's a gigantic game changer.
Story of our year, buddy. Story of our year.
And we've got the safety car flags and boards out around the circuit with the order: Feeney, Kostecki, Brown, Van Gisbergen, Heimgartner, Payne, Davison, De Pasquale, Slade and Goddard. And this will explain the reasons why. So looking in the background, and he's run it all the way down the rivets on the fence at turn 9, northern end of the racetrack, alongside Dandenong Road.
And I've just spoken to Matt Stone for Cam Hill. That's been a steering failure, so had no notice. It just happened quite suddenly, so they've had a really tough day. Both of their cars have been fast all weekend. Not a lot to show for it.
So here we go. Cars released. Green flags being waved. They can't pass before they get to the control line. We are going racing to the checkered flag in what's going to be a vigorous brawl, and not a bad restart here by Brock, who's at the control line, got a second on them already.
So let me just reassure you straight away, after our discussion around Feeney's pace, he did a 10.8 on that lap straight away.
And the positioning of the car as he came out of turn 4 then. Oh, we've got a car turned around in the background, the tradie entry, and they're scrambling all around Declan Fraser there at the moment. He's right with him. It's officially 0.3, but it's a couple of car lengths, and the curb cam shows you how aggressive they are over the top of the curbing. Kostecki is right with Feeney. He's within striking distance now between 3 and 4. Does he have a sniff up the inside? There's marbles to negotiate. They've got him up on the rocks on the inside at turn 4, and now Kostecki might get a little bit of drafting benefit up the back straight. He's right on him, filling the mirrors. He'll have a bit of a look, up, down, round. Can he get down the inside at turn 9? He's making a tiny bit of ground based on the slipstream. 5th gear, over the top of the hill, fully grip limited.
We missed the apex.
He's wide. Brock's gone wide down there at 9. Brody gets that little bit closer. It's now 0.2 of a second. And a 15-second time penalty, car 25 for a driving infringement. Chaz Mostert. It's on, out of the final corner. They're racing each other. They're racing the clock. This is going to be 2 or 3 laps short of the mark. And we've got absolutely nothing in it. 0.18 of a second, and the championship leader's thinking about it. He's up high. Tries to turn it down shallow. He's putting enormous pressure on Feeney.
Moved it over. Brock had to move it over then. He knew that Kostecki was going to have a A plunge down the inside. Does he do it here now? Does he do it now? Almost.
Now that's checked up Brody. That means Will's going to get a better corner exit out of turn 4. So that little dive cost him. It dropped him back a couple of car lengths. Brown's got the best seat in the house. There's nothing between the top 3 cars at the moment. And only 2 seconds behind is Van Gisbergen with the headlights on.
This has been a momentous final stint for these young guys because they are pressing on every lap like a qualifying lap. And look at the intensity in the garages. Co-drivers on the right there, Perkins and Russell. Stanaway and Jeremy Moore looking on in the 888 garage because this is big-time stuff for Feeney trying to hold off the current series leader, Kostecki, who had the best tyre degradation in the previous run. Up to the safety car, had the best tyre deg of the field.
But has 5 lap off the road. The Erebus car's plunged off to the right-hand side of the road over the top of the hill, and Will Brown's run wide, and he's gifted a position to Van Gisbergen. Jack knows the implications. So a mistake. A mistake that's been costly, unfortunately, for Will Brown. And that was an easy one for Van Gisbergen.
4 laps to go, mate. 4 laps to go. Gather it up. Do not cruise for me.
The tyres are in favour of Feeney here at the moment in terms of their age. 5 laps in favour of Brock, but there's been nothing in it. Here's the replay of what happened. So he's gone in so deep with the pressure from Van Gisbergen at the end of the back straight. He's run it wide, and it made it very easy for Shane to grease down the inside, and he's up on the podium now, position number 3. Here's the view.
Oh, I reckon that might have been a down change. I reckon he got 4th.
He did.
Yeah.
I reckon he got a double hit there.
He did. He got 4th, I reckon, by the sound of the engine and the way that the engine reacted, meaning it tried to lock the wheels, it fired him wide. I reckon that was a double header change.
Yeah, 5th and 4th, because normally only back 1 gear at the end of the back straight. We're riding with Van Gisbergen. That's the margin to second at the moment. He's chasing the championship leader from the viewpoint of the guy that came into the round in position number 2.
Yeah, so in terms of the championship, this is 1 and 2 in the championship. Looking from Shane to Kostecki, 137 points was the margin coming into the weekend. But Brock Feeney, with very, very experienced and highly credentialed co-driver in Jamie Whincup, 1 more lap remaining. You could probably do what you were going to say before now.
Well, I didn't doubt it at the time, because the confidence that we've all got in Brock from the way in which he's been driving this year and delivering wins, podiums and poles, you know, he hasn't looked like a guy that was about to be shaken out of position. No. So we're inside that final lap now. We've gone time certain. He's holding his margin steady at 1 second. He's got a handful of corners to run. And what a stunning performance from him today. He's come into the round with 5 victories in his supercar career. He set the world on fire for GM at the back end of last year's championship in Adelaide. He had his family in tears. His dad, Paul, was watching that one, and he's here again today to witness this. He's a master of his craft, and he's only a youngster. He slides it out of turn 9 over the top of the curb. He's letting a little bit of that margin drift. He's only got to do a couple of corners now, get it back to second gear for one last time, and he lines it up through the final corner. And the apprentice today has joined the master. Feeney and Whincup are the winners of the Sandown 500 for 2023.
Well done. Mark Dutton standing there next to Jamie Whincup. Jamie Whincup becomes a 6-time winner. Feeney saying that was a good race.
Legend.
Certainly.
Legend. Fantastic. Love it.
And what a great reaction. You can see what it means to him there. As he clenches his fists. And that level of pressure at the end there was very, very high-level motorsport, as all of the guys and girls in the Erebus garage are also congratulating each other. David Russell, who drove so well early with Brody Kostecki, and all of the team now jubilant. The reaction winning the Sandown 500. I think it becomes a pretty high-level number, isn't it? The 250th race for
It is.
Triple Eight at the same time.
It's the 250th race win for them. It was one of the numbers that we rattled out earlier in the broadcast. Let's go through our official results at the end of our 23rd race in the championship season, and tremendous performance. Home by just inside 1 second. We've got Brock Feeney and Jamie Whincup from Brodie Kostecki and David Russell. Shane Van Gisbergen and Richie Stanaway making it onto the podium at the back end of that one, and a small mistake costly there, unfortunately, for Will Brown. Fine performance today by Andre Heimgartner and Dale Wood as well, and we've already talked up the great job by Kevin Estray and Matt Payne. Looking further down the order here, gee, there were a couple of people who had some tough days. I just can't begin to understand the pain that they went through with car 6 for Cam Waters and for James Moffat. Getting clobbered by an errant wheel and breaking a rear wing off a car, that's a whole new one for the playbook, that one. How's this though? Points is interesting. It's out to 155 now for Brodie over Shane. Just covered that off just a few moments ago. And in the top 5, what has happened is Heimgartner's now moved up 2 spots into position number 5. Mostert down 1 and Waters down 1 after a difficult day. Will Davison's moved up into position number 9. Bryce Fullwood drops down. That's the team scenario. This becomes more and more important at the back end of the championship because it determines pit lane order for 2024, and you can see that Erebus is still doing really handsomely there at the moment. 65-point margin.
Ladies and gentlemen, your race 23 Penrite Oil Sandown 500 podium.